In this lecture, we're going to go over ratio circle problems. So let's take a look at this one. So what this one is saying is, let's look at the question. What is the length of the radius of the circle? So I know the radius of the circle is pretty much just half of it. And it says the length of the arc ADB is 8 pi. So from here to here, we know that the circumference length is 8 pi. And so if the length, and then we know that the entire would also be 8 pi. And so I know the total circumference is going to be 16 pi. And the question is, do we have a formula for circumference? Well, the answer is yes. So circumference, it's going to be 2 pi r. And then from here, it says, what is the length of the radius? Well, we know the circumference is 16 pi. And it's going to be 2 pi r. And on the SAT, you never have to worry about pi, so I'd never type pi into the calculator. They actually never wanted it actually in the calculator. So I'm going to do divide by 2 pi to get radius by itself. And then from here, the radius would be 8. So the answer would be C. Alright, so for this problem, let's take a look at this. Let's look at the question. What is the length of arc ABC? So I know ABC is over here, and they want the length. So I know that the length is always going to be circumference, but I don't really know what it is right now. Let's look at the information that is given to us. The length of the arc ADC is 5 pi. So I know from here to here, it's going to be 5 pi. And it says x is 100 degrees. So from here, I can set up the tic-tac-toe board, and it's going to be set up kind of like a ratio. So let's just say that this one's the smaller one, and this one's the larger circle. And then we have two things. We have the circumference, and then we also have the angle. So if we look at the small circumference, we know it's going to be 5 pi, which is over here. And if we look at the smaller angle, it's going to be 100 degrees, which is over here. Now, the large circumference, we don't know because we put a question mark, so it's x. And then we're going to look at the larger angle. Well, I know in a circle, there's 360 degrees. And if one part of the section is 100 degrees, we have to figure out the other section. So we do minus 100, which is 260. So we put 260 right here. So anytime we see it in this setup, we cross multiply. So right now, 260 times 5 is going to be 1300 pi equals 100x. And then from here, to get x by itself, we divide by 100. Divide by 100. And from here, we can use the zero tricks. So these zeros cancel out. These zeros cancel out. 13 divided by 1 is 13. So the answer would be 13 pi. So all of this you can do without a calculator. And anytime you see pi on one of the answer choices, you know that you don't have to type pi into the calculator. So you can do this all by hand. All right, so with this problem, it's a similar idea. So we have a total circumference of 36. What is the minor arc of AC? And so the other thing we notice about this AC is the degrees is 90 degrees because we see that right angle. And so we're going to set up the tic-tac-toe board like before. So it's going to be equals, and we're going to have a part, the small part, then we're going to have the whole, and then we're going to have the circumference, and then we're going to have the angle. All right, so the part circumference, we really don't know. We know the angle will be 90 degrees. Now the whole circumference, we know is 36. And the whole angle for the entire circle is always going to be 360 degrees. So from here, I'm going to show you a different way to do it than before. We can always cross multiply, but the other way we can do it is recognize kind of the ratios. So to go from here to here, we know we have to divide by 4. So if we know that, to go from there to there, we can also divide by 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So the answer would be A. So from here, to recap, we can always figure out the ratio, or we can do cross multiply. Both method works, and that's how you can get the answer in 2 different ways.